Today, we're talking about how to make anyone talk without them even realizing. If you want to make more money or have better relationships, you have to learn how to get people to talk. But here's the thing, I'm not going to give you some list of 20 proven communication hacks because that's not what you need. What you need is to understand the psychology behind elicitation and how to use that in your own life. So these are going to be the 3 techniques that make people open up to you immediately. And if you use all of these, I guarantee you'll be able to make anyone open up to you. I know this works because communication is all I do. I lead a team of over 150 salespeople at a $20 billion tech company. I train people how to get customers to talk to them. Let me show you exactly how this works. But you have to know what elicitation is if you're going to be any good at this. So let's define it. According to the FBI website, the FBI describes elicitation as a technique used to collect information that is not readily available and do so without raising any suspicion. But elicitation isn't something new. Like, when you think about it, nosy neighbors have been doing this for centuries. Your mom, when she wants to know if you're actually dating someone. That friend who always knows everybody else's business. The difference is, most people do this accidentally, and today I'm going to teach you how to do it intentionally. Here's a simple example. Let's say you want to plan a surprise birthday party for your girlfriend, and you're a few months out, so you need to know her schedule, who'd she want there, the type of food she likes. But obviously, you don't want to just ask her directly, so instead, you might say something like, hey, man, my buddy's girlfriend just threw him this amazing surprise party last weekend. All his college friends were there. He had his favorite pizza, that place he always talks about. What do you think you want if somebody threw you a surprise party? You see what I did there? You get all the information you need, and she thinks she's just having a casual conversation about parties. Now, the question is, why does this work so well? Well, research shows that when you use natural conversation techniques like this, people only refuse to share information about 28% of the time. But when you ask just a direct question, the refusal rate jumps up to about 77%. Here's the psychology. We have about 7 natural tendencies or triggers that make us want to share information. Here's what they are. One is people want to be helpful. Even to strangers. It's like, you're in your hometown and somebody stops you in the street and says, hey, how do you get to such and such building? You point them in the right direction and you walk away, man, I just helped somebody out. You feel good. So that's one of the natural triggers. And there are others, like, we want to appear smart, especially as it relates to our jobs or interests. Or we want to feel important and appreciated. The other one is we love to show off when somebody's praising us. Then there's gossip, right? There's also the need to correct people when they're wrong. And then there's our want to convert other people into our way of thinking. Elicitation works because it triggers automatic responses. People end up sharing willingly simply because it feels good, not because they feel pressured. All right, now to kind of get into these 3 techniques, I think it's important now that you understand what elicitation is, that you really understand the first one, which is what I call the vulnerability exchange. The principle is simple. If someone opens a door for you, you feel obligated to open up the next door for them. So you share something first in order to get something back. So let's talk about it maybe in a business example. Maybe you're in sales like me. Instead of asking, how much you looking to spend? You say instead, we just worked with another company about your same size, and they were trying to keep it under $50,000 because their CFO was being really tight with the budget this quarter. What's your situation like? Now that they feel comfortable sharing their budget constraints simply just because you shared some information first. It also works in relationships. Like maybe instead of asking your girlfriend, hey, are you mad at me? Instead, you say something like this. Hey, I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday, and I realized I probably came off as dismissive. And when you're trying to tell me about your day, how did that feel for you? By simply admitting your fault first, she's more likely to open up about what's actually bothering her. So if you want to test this out, you could just use this sentence in the wild. Like, I just had the most frustrating experience with X situation. So maybe you say, I just had the most frustrating experience in line at Target. Have you ever dealt with anything like that? Watch how people open up and give you a personal story about them. Even if the person is a natural introvert, doesn't like to say many words. I know when I used to come home, my parents would always ask me, hey, how was your day at school? Good. And I'll be like, okay, bro, let's keep going because I don't want to talk. But if you use these elicitation techniques, it will get people to open up to you who generally would not. This works because you're showing you're human and relatable, which makes them want to share their own experience. But if this is the only tool in your tool belt to get people to open up, you're really still missing other critical items because this always wouldn't work. It's important you understand the correction trigger. The correction trigger is the second technique, or as the FBI calls it, a provocative statement. People in general have an overwhelming urge to correct wrong information. So instead of asking a question, you may make an educated guess that's slightly off. So let's use another business example. Instead of asking, when do you need to make a decision? You could say, I imagine you guys are probably wanting to get this wrapped up by the end of the year, right? What's funny is when you ask this, or when you say this, they say, if it's sooner, they'll correct you. And they'll say, actually, we need to get this done by next month. And then they'll give you the real timeline, and usually they'll add, because X, Y reason. You end up getting more information. Or maybe you're in a relationship. Instead of asking, how was work today? You say, hey, sounds like you probably had another one of those crazy busy days where you barely had time for lunch, huh? If it's wrong, she'll just correct you. She'll say, actually, it wasn't busy at all. And that's the problem. Like, I'm so bored at this job. And now you get to the real conversation just by opening up with that sort of statement. So in a social setting, one of my favorite examples that you could use at a party or somewhere else, instead of asking, hey, what do you do at a party? You might say, you look like you're probably in marketing or something creative like that. Even if you're completely wrong, and you guess wrong intentionally, right? Even if you're completely wrong, they'll correct you and tell you what they actually do and more about their job than if you would just ask directly. So this is something you can use. Just use a statement. Hey, you look like you're probably in marketing or something. That will get people to open up to you. And the key is making it sound casual and conversational, not like an interrogation. That's usually where people shut down and get closed off and don't want to open up. If they feel like they're being interrogated or in an interview, it just doesn't feel natural. It feels pressured, and people don't like to feel pressured. But still, if all you have is the technique of sharing certain vulnerabilities and then also making a bad guess at what someone does, that's still not enough to get people to open up. You really need the third technique. And the third technique is what I call the echo effect. It's based on active listening and repeating words. I spend a lot of time training my salespeople on this one technique. It's probably the most powerful of them all. And the way it works is this. When someone tells you something, instead of immediately responding with your own thoughts, you repeat back to them a key word or phrase, but in a slight questioning tone. And what happens is this triggers them to expand and give you more details. So in business, a lot of times I'll give you this example. Let's say a client says to you, yeah, we tried working with another vendor last year, but it didn't work. You might say, it didn't work out. And they'll respond, yeah, they promised us results in 30 days and in 3 months, but we haven't seen any improvement yet. And they give you all this information, and all you did was literally repeat what they said in the form of a question. They said it didn't work out. You say, didn't work out? And they will open up and divulge information naturally. But it doesn't just work in business. Let's think maybe in relationships. So your girlfriend's says this. She says, hey, my sister's driving me crazy. And you'll respond, driving you crazy? Yeah, she just keeps giving me this unsolicited advice about my career. She thinks she knows better than I do about what I should be doing with my life. And what just happened there is instead of trying to solve the problem immediately, you get full context first, and you get more information from her. This is something I should probably use in my own life, just being honest. So maybe you want to do this today as an experiment. Maybe tonight you're going to hang out with some friends or something. What I would try if I were you is maybe some friend says, this weekend was super interesting. You'll respond, interesting? Just respond back with a word or the phrase in a question-like statement. And the crucial part is to simply repeat the last few words with a questioning tone and then stay silent. The silence is absolutely critical. This is where most people fail. What the silence does, it makes people automatically want to fill the silence with more information. Just be quiet for at least like 3 to 4 seconds. Be quiet for 3 to 4 seconds and listen to how they respond. So here's your challenge. Pick one of these 3 techniques and test it over the next 48 hours. Try the vulnerability exchange at work. Try the correction trigger with your girlfriend, right? Maybe try the echo effect at your next social event. Just repeat back the words in a questioning tone and listen to people open up. Remember, guys, this isn't about manipulation. It's actually about becoming someone people naturally want to talk to and trust. If you want to go deeper on conversation skills, I make videos about communication and conversation and how you can use it to level up your career. My name is Dwayne Golden, and I will catch you.